Aloha, y'all. It is Sunday, ruled by the sun, the 29th of November. It is a red spectral serpent guided by life force, according to the Mayan dream spell calendar. It is a Sahasrara or crown chakra day. Sundays are. Um, do the mantras, do the mudras. All is one, the one and the all. Crown chakra stuff. Om. The musical note is B. Do I think the hand gesture, the mudra is that. So get on it, and you will find some amazing magic waiting in your own head and body. The sun is in Sagittarius. The moon is in the last degree, last half an hour of Taurus. So the moon is just about to enter Gemini, where there's going to be a full moon lunar eclipse. I'll be doing a separate video on that on Facebook. I pull Alex Gray cards, Cosm, Chapel of Sacred Mirrors cards, and do full new moon rituals. But this is an important portal. This is a big time. Eclipse season starting. Sun in Sagittarius, Moon in Taurus, last degrees, but basically Gemini. Mercury's in Scorpio, Venus is in Scorpio, Mars is in Aries. Let's go ahead and get some card action. I did some holotropic breathing work yesterday. Very psychedelic if you haven't done that. You don't need acid all the time. Okay, so we got the Five of Pentacles. My fiance got the Five of Cups, so some of that action definitely surfacing. But the Five of Pentacles are material things. So if you're a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, this is going to naturally resonate with your proclivity of self at a level, your sun side. So Five of Pentacles, examining our own relationship with poverty, looking for disowned treasures within you, fear of not being enough for anyone. Five of Pentacles, I am desperate and destitute. We can go through life unaware of the astounding beauty and miraculous things which surround us right there for us to reach out and touch. We rush past a beautiful flowering tree, completely oblivious to its rich and fecund display. We bicker with those we love, unaware of this moment of aliveness, of being conscious in this life is so fleeting and precious. So many fail to see the wonder which sits within their grasp. Because of this, they experience a deep poverty of awareness, lack of time, lack of support, lack of money and resources, when in truth there is no lack, just lack of awareness. I am reminded of the wisdom story of the beggar sitting on a box by the side of the road, begging for 30 years until a passing stranger suggests he open it. When he does, he discovers it is filled with gold. In the artwork of the Five of Pentacles, two characters are crouched, begging for food. They are positioned in front of the Garden of Eden, outcast from paradise, and yet only separated by a slender barbed wire fence. It is well within their reach. The two realities exist side by side, but from the side of lack, they are blinded to the possibility. The figures are slowly disappearing into the graffiti-covered boards. Soon they will recede from view, becoming just another part of the mean streets. The Five of Pentacles asks us to look for our own disowned treasures, while also referring to the very real hypocrisy and unfairness that the world offers up. Misery and suffering sit alongside vast wealth and opulence. The millions upon millions of people who must survive and support their families on so little, while others have so much. Inequality, isolation, segregation, and ignorance play out around us every single day, and we must decide how we wish to be in the face of this. One of people's greatest fears, is to be cast out of their homes, their families, their tribes, and live on the street impoverished. The fear can compel people to generate riches at any cost, while others remain caught in the trap of poverty, unable to escape. It can keep you trapped in a fruitless relationship or move you to create extraordinary things and help many others along the way. The card invites you to consider your own relationship with the issue of poverty, inequality, and unfairness. It also suggests that you acknowledge and actively seek out the phenomenal abundance all around you, feeling it as part of your own being, which is going to tie into the song I'm going to play a little. It's like it's underneath it all. Traveling to various parts of the world in tremendous poverty and experiencing a lack of bitterness and open generosity, while conversely living in one of the wealthiest parts of London and seeing such a lack of generosity, life lived behind closed gates, made me deeply question my own fears around poverty and isolation. To live with an open heart and generous spirit, no matter what the circumstances, is a powerful practice, one which carries the possibilities to transform the world we experience. Five of Pentacles is examining your own relationship with poverty, looking to disown the treasures within you, fear of not being enough for anyone, right? Searching for these disowned treasures. Venus and Mercury and Scorpio. We're searching for the hidden truths, the things underneath the surface appearances, right? At the bottom, at the fundaments, the secrets. With the sun in Sagittarius, we're trying to bring truth and illumination, the light of awareness, the light of God, if you want to put it that way, to these facts. And with the moon in the last degrees of Taurus, we're dealing with how we emotionally feel about, lack of money or having winning the lottery. Like, what does that do to us emotionally? What happens when we have Thanksgiving? We're bloated. We have had too much versus intermittent fasting, where we're like, oh, I'm hungry and I have stomach gurgles because I'm hunger painting or whatever. That's what we're exploring today. So it's very appropriate given the astrology. Let's go ahead and get some clarification with other cards, shall we? We have the following. Sorry, I'm just kind of all over the place. All right, so we have King of Air. This is the moon is about to enter Gemini as a full moon lunar eclipse in Gemini in, tonight, late night for me, probably early morning for people in England and stuff like that, tomorrow. That's this energy coming through, right? The awareness, King of Air. So let's see what this gentleman has to tell us. King of Air. Keywords: disciplined, ethical, commanding, expert, forceful, precise, rule-oriented, and respectful. And the higher octave of the Scorpion is the eagle, like when it's in shadowless form, it's exalted form or whatever. So also resonating with the Venus and Mercury in Scorpio. Key phrases: a time for ethical behavior, no room for compromise, seeking the advice of an expert, respecting the rules or laws. Why are you pushing boundaries? Keeping your judgment free of emotional impediment. Don't be drawn into an argument. Don't reject unsolicited advice. The King of Air is just and fair, a just and fair leader with a stern and commanding presence. He can be imposing and somewhat intimidating due to his formal manner, but his stern countenance is tempered by a compassion born of his spiritual belief. He is an educated man with vast knowledge. He is also a wise man who has learned from every life experience. When he speaks, everybody listens. Sun in Sagittarius, the teacher, the guru. He is also a disciplined man who can at times be uncompromising and rigid. Moon in last degrees of Taurus. And Venus in Scorpio, and Mercury in Scorpio. As he has a very fixed belief system. He cannot be corrupted or easily swayed. He believes rules are made to be followed and should not be broken. The laws of the land were made to keep people safe, and he believes those who break the law should understand the consequences of their actions. Yes, he can choose to show compassion in his passing his judgment. However, he will not compound the wrong by failing to bring a wrongdoer to account. His judgment is fair but final, and is delivered in accordance to the law and without emotional impediment. When the King of Air appears in your reading, it may represent a need to seek legal counsel or financial advice. Is there a point of law or a money matter that you need to have clarified by someone who is not emotionally invested in achieving a particular outcome? If not a matter of law or a financial matter, it may be something to do with rules and regulations that has you concerned. Some sort of infringement on your personal rights? Seek out someone with expertise in the area of concern. You need to know where you stand. The King of Air is a no-nonsense person. He is direct and to the point and uninterested in debating or arguing for argument's sake. Sun in Sagittarius. This is going to be an eclipse, right? So the sun will be in Sagittarius, the moon will be in Gemini, and it's going to be a full moon. That's why they're opposing, or, opposite the zodiac. So it's an eclipse, lunar eclipse. Gemini asks all the questions, wants to debate, have fun. Oh, I see all the perspectives. Sagittarius is like, thus says the Lord. This is the law this is spiritual law. This is the law of God, the law of the universe. It doesn't argument for argument's sake, or argue for argument's sake. You might find yourself in a position where you need to embody the same behavior. Don't be drawn into an argument at this time if all you are going to do is repeat yourself. Present your case, be direct and to the point, and then don't be drawn into further debate. If you have said all that needs to be said at this point, any further form of response is a waste of time and energy. If you find yourself dealing with somebody who embodies the nature of the King of Air, be advised they are not usually somebody who will change their mind, nor are they somebody who is going to change their ways with ease. Sun in Sagittarius, Moon in Taurus. Last degrees of Taurus. No, change is possible, but on their own terms and at their own pace. If you attempt to push a King of Air type to change their mind, opinion, or behavior, you are courting conflict. If you try to shove a bull or tell someone who's like, a public, say someone's giving a seminar and they're like, here's the model, and I'm going, and someone raises their hand and be like, this is bullshit, let's talk about it. They're like, going to be like, get out of my seminar. You don't believe in this? Go away. Like, we're talking about things we agree on. That kind of Sagittarian energy. Self-righteous at worst, and with the South Node in Sagittarius right now, it'll be conjuncted a little bit, but not yet. We're dealing with self-righteous beliefs. Or North Node is in Gemini, so it's going to be about exploring ideas and knowing that there's more to the picture than meets your eyes, though your truth is your truth. It's paradoxical, I know. If you attempt to push a king of air type to change their mind, opinion, or behavior, you are courting conflict. If you are romantically involved with one, you might just have to accept them for who they are because they are always going to be forceful and a little dogmatic. As a parent, he is always going to be a strict and rule-oriented father. Think like Captain Von Trapp, right? It's like, I have a whistle for each of my children in the Sound of Music. And they're like, yes, father. It's a little intellectual and cold. He will demand respect, and that those who live under his roof follow his rules. His rules, however, are usually fair and do more to protect them than to harm. So if you find yourself at loggerheads, take a moment to ask yourself if it might be you who needs to look at their actions. Are you pushing boundaries because these boundaries need to be shifted, or are you pushing them just because they are there? Like rebellion is good if it's like an ossified system and you need to break it, but sometimes like if you're just like testing things that are there for your benefit, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you know, it can be rebellion in a negatively polarized sense. It's just like you're being a brat at that point, right? So we have the ability to really see from a higher perspective, a very intellectual place, that everything underneath all appearances is exactly as it should be, harmonized. And then there's layers, and sometimes when we're in moments of poverty, moments of lack, moments of scarcity, moments of fear, and that kind of energy, we don't see and remember, we're not grateful for, and a part of the superabundance. That was the Jinky 53 we read today. My fiance and I, Haley, love you. Superabundance is the city where it's like everything is awesome, right? And if you attach too strongly with your ego mind to things that are transient, difficulties, lack, if you're just obsessed with it's winter and I'm never going to see the sun again and all this stuff, it's like you're not going to see that, oh, the cycles are all necessary and winter allows for the death for the new life to form, right? So it's a matter of shifting your perspective, knowing it's both and. There is fullness, there's complete fullness, but there's fullness and lack in the yin yang, both. That takes a real intellectual kind of cutting edge high level of awareness. Sagittarius sun. It's like seeing the truth far away. The arrow hits the target because they can see that long vision. Let's go ahead and get Galactic Heritage card. So we've got, hopefully you all are doing well on this Sunday. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Pioneering spirit. That is the nature of a Sagittarius, right? To pioneer the spirit. Fire is spirit, like the fire suits. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius are various degrees of evolved spirit. The mind is, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You get my point. But anyway, very resonant already. Number 11. Let's do it. Pioneering spirit. Past timeline. The early beginnings of and this is Lyra. The early beginnings of the Lyran civilization were filled with excitement about exploring the universe. They expanded their colonies rapidly and the civilization grew quickly. These were the first forefathers of human heritage. Having a connection to this early Lyran time, you also have a connection to this pioneering spirit. This spirit compels you to explore both the physical and metaphysical worlds. While this is a healthy pursuit, the lessons of the Lyrans have shown that this desire for exploration must also be balanced with daily life. Chop wood, carry water. Explore the inner and outer cosmos. It asks that your explorations be a way to embrace physical life and not to escape from it. The text for this card pretty much says it all. It refers to the beginning of the first star family directly related to our development on Earth, the Lyrans. It particularly refers to the first era of their development when they were a young species and had many lessons to learn. The Lyrans are our oldest forefathers. In this past era, they were extremely focused in reality and not very interested in spiritual development. In some ways, they were young and immature, as most young species are, and immaturity was the shadow of the 53, so there's a sync there, Haley. They were young and immature. I just lost my space. As most young species are. But qualities of young civilizations can be negative or positive depending on how those qualities are expressed. A pioneering spirit can be a wonderful quality when used with responsibility and integrity. It can also be a negative quality when used immaturely, with ignorance, or without integrity. Thus, it becomes important to look at the rest of the cards, read to see how to interpret it, and follow your intuition. Usually this card comes up for people who have had lives in Lyra during this era and are now here to apply those lessons. Perhaps you are being asked to take risks and become a spiritual pioneer in your life a little bit more. Or perhaps the pioneering aspect of your nature needs to be balanced with responsibilities in your life on Earth as a human. Open yourself to further guidance from the message of this card and see where this insight takes you, right? So we could be so pioneering even in a negatively polarized way where it's like, I don't have enough, I got to go find more. It's like everything is fine, and yes, you can search you know, expand your horizons and stuff like that, but know that like there's a harmonized way to do it and a disharmonized way to do it. And it takes real wisdom to know when to push boundaries and when not to, right? Sometimes just colonizing the world, I guess it led to an internet globalized, banking capitalistic globe we have now, but that pioneering spirit caused a lot of suffering too. In a more meta way, it's like people chose that suffering, those lessons, people chose that exploration, so it's not bad. Ultimately, that polarity game is, old hat. Ultimately, when you realize all is one consciousness, but there are contraction and expansion. Sometimes you don't have to go to India and go to an ashram and do yoga for 40 years. You can do that in the privacy of your own home potentially. But there's levels of experience with that pioneering spirit. You're going to meet people you wouldn't have met otherwise. You're going to see things and taste things. So moderate pioneering, if that makes sense. And the pioneering spirit has to do with it. It's like, if you know that there's more out there, you're not going to be stuck looking down and just stuck in your rut. You'll find solutions to the problem, which are always there. They're underneath it all, right? And that takes wisdom to see beyond just the situation, wisdom to even see where you might be heading, evolutionarily speaking. So let's go. And pioneering spirit, like I said, is very Sagittarian. It's very much like, look, I see the horizon and I'm shooting that way. And where the arrow lands, I'll shoot the arrow from there, and it'll go further than that the next time. Hopefully that makes sense. The animal oracle card for today is the horse, freedom. It's a little bright. Whoa, that's really dark now. Good enough. All right, freedom. So this is number 24. Freedom. To be truly free, we must learn true independence. Trust yourself, as listening to people who may have other agendas is not the way to make good, clear decisions. Individuation from our parents is a natural process, although it is often fraught with difficulty on both sides. Your true power resides in your ability to always know you have a choice, and it is yours to make. You have a choice. Your life is going to be as much suffering. Do you sit here and wallow and complain and compare? It's never good enough, or do you choose to accept things as they are? I have the hiccup. Sorry. That's a place of wisdom and authority and a mental place, right? We have the choice to go find new lands or develop where we are. So, mythos. There was once a young king who lived in a castle upon a great hill who had just been newly crowned. So he began looking for a queen. He was out riding one day and saw a woman who was riding her huge white stallion as well, if not better, than he rode. Her horse flew across the fields, and the woman's hair streamed long and wild behind her. The king kicked on his horse, and after some time caught up with her. Her face was flushed, and her smile bright, and her words joyful. Their eyes met, and they fell deeply in love. After a long time, the young king realized Rhiannon, for that was her name, was loving, loyal, gentle, and fair, and was all he wanted in a queen. I know how that feeling goes. He asked her to marry him, and she accepted with grace. 22 Gene Key, my fiance's thing, Grace. Rhiannon's responsibilities as queen would now be to taken over from the queen regent, i.e. the king, the king's mom. And while it would be natural for the mother of the king to be pleased for her son, secretly she was very jealous of her usurper and resented her loss of personal power. Venus and Mercury and Scorpio. It's like, I want this, and I'm going to do anything I can to keep this. Soon, a beautiful blue-eyed son with a star-like birthmark was born on his leg. To protect him, Rhiannon kept her baby with her as she slept in her chambers. One morning, Rhiannon awoke. Her baby was gone from her, and in his stead was a great deal of blood. She screamed in horror. The queen regent yelled, "Look, she has killed her baby. I knew she wasn't to be trusted." Mercury and Scorpio, lies, deceit, right? Rhiannon insisted the baby had been taken, but the queen regent was not to be convinced. The king asked Rhiannon where her baby was, and she confessed that she didn't know. Rhiannon's son had been kidnapped by the queen regent in the night. She had killed a chicken and used its blood to make the scene against Rhiannon. The queen regent had decided to raise the son as her own, and he was safe but hidden. Rhiannon was put on trial, and she made no defense, and so was found guilty of her son's murder. The king, still so in love with her, could not kill her, but instead sentenced her to a job that would bring huge shame to her every day. As the castle was up a high hill, visitors were given a horse to travel to the top. Rhiannon's new job was to take the place of one of the hard-working horses and carry people to the top of the castle on her back. Moon and Taurus, diligent, emotional, kind of Sisyphean actions. Every day she struggled with her guilt, never raising her head. She slept in the stables with the horses, curled up and crying. Rhiannon gradually became aware of the importance of the work that the horses did beside her. People couldn't get to the castle without them, and they bore the work with great strength and focus. She also realized that the horses were set free at night, and they ran, played, and loved and foraged, mindful of the moment. They were they were actually free. Whoa, I just almost bent a card maybe. She's sitting here being like, "Oh, I'm a slave now. I'm being treated like a horse. I'm in a stable." And then she's like, "Oh, actually, they're part of a bigger picture, and they do have freedom. It's both and. Yes, they have suffering, but yes, they're abundant. It's both. Oh my gosh." She decided that she too would follow their example, bearing the guests with strength and focus and enjoying her freedom at the end of the day instead of hiding in shame. That's a pioneering spirit. On one of these evening walks, and Wise, right, the king of air, she's like, sees an objective view of it. She's like, oh, well, work hard, play hard. On one of these evening walks, she saw the queen regent playing with a little boy in a lower courtyard of a farm. He was on a small pony. She thought the king must have remarried quickly. The small boy lost his balance and fell. The queen regent checked him over for cuts, and as she did so, the little boy's trouser leg was lifted, and there, on his leg, was a birthmark in the shape of a star. Rhiannon realized that this was her own son and that she had been tricked. She had called the local people together to witness the boy and confirm the mark on his leg. Sagittarius and Sun. It's like, here's the truth. It's not debatable. Happily, the king had not stopped loving Rhiannon and reinstated her as queen, banishing his mother into exile. Some Venus and Scorpio kind of craziness. Rhiannon never forgot the lessons of the horses who had worked beside her, and from then on, no horse was a beast of burden in their kingdom, but instead a symbol of power and freedom. Mythos about horses or featuring horse deities encircle the world, wherever horses were found or heard of. Deities linked to horses include Epona, Etienne, Apollo, Poseidon, Resheph, Suna, Odin, Neptune, and Equester. The animal. Besides the dog, there's perhaps no other animal that has shared such a close and integral relationship with humans. Horses have been a partner for humans in their discovery of the world, in wars, in the production and hunting of food, and as a riding companion. Without horses being domesticated, huge numbers of cultures would have found it impossible to trade, roam, discover, and conquer vast territories. The human race owes horses a debt it is impossible to repay. Horses in their current form evolved years ago and were domesticated. They come in all shapes and sizes, from giant Shire horse breeds to dish-faced Arabians, and the miniature horses used as pets. Horses are herd animals and are highly social. They have eyes in the sides of their heads that can almost see behind them, although they do have a small blind spot in the front field of vision. Horses are used as therapy for humans who have mental and physical trauma. Horse therapy programs commonly assist veterans with PTSD and children with autism, and they visit hospitals and hospices to bring comfort. Their loving spirit, pure presence, and healing attributes make them perfect for this work. When I was helping my grandparents out, when my granddad had lung cancer a few years ago, and I was helping them out, I was kind of like in Fairhope, Alabama, which is the middle of nowhere, and beautiful, but like not my culture. I'm not from the South like that. And I didn't have any friends and all this kind of stuff. So there was this lady at their church who was like, I have horses you can feed if you want, and like once a week, once every now and then, or whatever it was. And I did, and I ran with horses. It's pretty exhilarating. I'd love to have a horse one day, but that's a very expensive endeavor. It's like a dog times 500. So the magic. Horse magic is profoundly free and powerful. To ride a horse at full gallop is to experience a sacred bolt of the most primal liberty. When you are feeling trapped or small, expand your field by calling for their energy. Also, there's a long history in physical and mental healing with horse energy, and this can be used when you are ill or unstable. Horse energy invokes a calm and solid presence that can be used to quiet your spirit if you are feeling disturbed. Horse magic is also an expression of trust. A powerful horse could go anywhere at once, yet it is willing to be led. A person who trusts the horse to be sure-footed, leap and run away from danger, while the horse trusts the human to be its partner, to not hinder, to take care of it, to guide it. It can be a very deep bond if you allow it to be. If you're ever doubting yourself or feeling trapped, engage some horsepower, expand your field, and call on their energy. Symbology is woman on a horse, woman carrying a burden, woman holding a child with a star upon his leg, white horses, silver and white. Status, of least concern. However, wastage and cruelty in the horse racing industry are issues, as is the habitat destruction of some populations of wild horses. And there's actually wild horses, I think, in Chickasee, out in Montana and parts of Colorado potentially, or the West. There's wild horses still. Actually, I've remembered them. They're considered a pest. I think the government shoots them and stuff like that. It's crazy. But the point is, we're always free, and sometimes that freedom might look restrictive. It might look like lacking in a sense, right? That's a level of it where it's like, yo, I want here. I'm trying to make this a little brighter for myself. There we go. So, yo, I want more and all this stuff. And sometimes it's like, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away, but Great is the Lord, or whatever. Superabundance is always there. There's times of awareness of abundance and like prosperity, and there's times of lack, but it's always within. It's all good in that sense. That's the garden behind them, right? And it takes true wisdom to understand that, to discern that, to see that. It takes a real vision, Sagittarius Sun, and an embodiment, Moon in the last degrees of Taurus, to know that. The pioneering spirit is something that the horses were showing her. They're free at night and they have fun. They have a pioneering spirit, but they still had jobs to do in the day, and they were treated, poorly before she became queen. So know that you're free always, and then there is no prison. The prison is your mind. The prison is your beliefs. The prison, right? All that stuff. So try to free your mind and know that everything is abundant and awesome, and not in a bypassing way. Ultimately, because we need sorrow to understand joy. We need peace to understand, war to understand peace. Right? We're in a duality matrix, and until we break that cycle, we're going to be stuck in reacting in that matrix. A Weiwei is the artist of the day. So his advice is as follows. Despite big trouble with authorities, A Weiwei continues to work from Beijing, where his hobbies include political deviance and being interrogated. With deep roots in activism, A's conceptual work taps into the history, world events, and occasional bouts of dark humor to address contemporary concerns about Chinese society. For his work Fairy Tale, he flew 1,001 Chinese citizens to Germany's famous quinquennial Documenta art exhibition. For dropping a Han Dynasty urn, he did good on the title's promise in apparent protest against cultural repression. That's funny because Han Dynasty, Han Chinese urns or what glasswork, right? Porcelain is valuable, and he's showing people like your idea of value. Like I'll be really free. I'll shatter this. He's got the King of Air, where he's got the higher mind of it. He's like, this is just a thing. You're not, the abundance is everywhere. In fact, maybe you're neglecting real value and clinging to these material things in the wrong way. However, when a Florida man staged an homage protest of his own, purposefully dropping and shattering one of A's vases on display at a Miami museum, A was not flattered and offered the man no tips on resisting arrest. Very King of Air. It's like, you're on your own, kid. Like, good luck with that shit. I'm a rebel, and I did it because I'm famous, but you're not famous, and you don't have the same clout as me, so you're going to get in trouble. Kind of ironic there. So, some things are whole only when they shatter. We become into, our awareness has to be shattered. If you're committing to scarcity, it's always whole, but we become to appreciate that wholeness through the idea of scarcity, right? That's why we're ultimately we should be grateful for times of famine as much as times for abundance. But we, in a capitalistic, consumer, ego-driven thing, we're like, I just want all easy, always awesome, and it's like it is perfectly in harmony, but there's like yin and yang. So to break the illusion here, to snap out of this, is when you make it whole. When they say, I'm not actually suffering. There's a lesson here. Maybe there's wisdom in this situation that I wouldn't be getting otherwise. If you've ever been really hungry and had to earn a meal or something like that, you appreciate that fucking food. I'm on food stamps right now, and I'll tell you, when like for Thanksgiving, my family made a bunch of vegan stuff because I'm eating like rice and protein shakes and not a whole lot, a lot of supplements, I guess you could say. So I'm not unhealthy, but bare bones kind of diet, and I had some curries and some vegan stuffing and all sorts of little dishes that they made, and I was so grateful. And I'm having to learn a lesson in scarcity right now, but I shouldn't focus on this as, oh, I'm so angry, I'm on food stamps. It's like, no, there's a lesson here, and one day I'll be back in a way where I can provide for myself diligently and not have to depend on the government. Trust me, I don't want to. I want freedom. Freedom. I want to be horse here. But right now, I'm below poverty line, quite frankly, personally. I don't have any, income or money, and I'm not complaining. But there's lessons here, and if all I do is focus on my bank account doesn't have enough money, I don't have enough things, I'm not traveling, no, like you're going to be in a very certain kind of hell. Heaven is always there, and your ego and your separation are a choice. Though separation is an illusion of participation that we go through. I know a lot of these readings, I say a lot of paradoxical things. I am a double Gemini. Deal with it. Gemini energy here for the lunar eclipse, King of Air. We have wisdom. Wisdom comes through process. We were all one thing that fell into delusion, right? We were all one thing, Garden of Eden, and we fell into separation. Adam and Eve, get out of here. You're going to have to work hard your whole life. It's like, well, you're working hard in the Tao, so it's all good. You're actually pioneering consciousness, Adam and Eve, in a new way. In an odd way, you're freer in a different, in a way now than you were before, because we're learning what self-sufficiency and cooperation and all these things are. But some things are whole only when they shatter, right? So I think that's the kind of Promethean Luciferian thing where it's like, you know what, we had to learn duality and split our consciousness and become separate from God and all this stuff in a way to reintegrate it. It's only going to be whole when it shatters and comes back together. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So let's get a stone, and then I'm going to play a song by Gwen Stefani. And no doubt, I think it was just Gwen's solo thing. I don't remember if the band was with her for this or not. But we got Bloodstone. What it is, Bloodstone is an earthy green chalcedony spattered with seriously activated red jasper. In the Middle Ages, some believed the red splotches on the stone's surface were the blood of Christ. Who needs it? The constantly overworked and completely drained by the soul-sucking machinations of modern life, Capricorns, right? People who are stuck in lack mentality. It's like, oh, I'm working so hard and I hate life. And oh my God, I'm never going to have a vacation. It's like, you just take a few deep breaths and you're on vacation already, right? You just eat well and get some good sleep if you can, or, whatever. And you're not going to be stuck in that place, that same place. So, where to put it? Wherever. And there's so much energy in Capricorn right now. I mean, there's a lot. Jupiter, Saturn are conjunct. Not Uranus, but that's in Taurus with the moon, so there's Earth energy there anyway. Pluto is in Capricorn, right? So there's a lot of heavy Saturnian energy right now. Everyone's kind of being like, it's like a pressure cooker, karma time. Where to put it? Wherever you do the important work, spiritual, physical, and psychological. When to use it? When you're totally bled dry and it's time to get into your body and start feeling your damned self. Sleep, get some exercise, take nourishment, call on Bloodstone to drag your ass out of the house to face the day, chin up, head high, power up your vitals, right? You have everything you need for the lessons you're asking for, consciously or subconsciously. Your beliefs are what you believe to be true, you play with. That's the matrix. It's all consciousness. And then if you say, I want to know a life of struggle to success, you'll do that. And but the point is, you're never actually separate. You're part of the whole thing. It's a happening. You're part of the happening. You're not separate. But we see ourselves as separate, and then we say, well, I don't have happiness, and I don't have this, and we give ourselves demand. We hold ourselves hostage with ransom demands that aren't even realistic. Ultimately, we need to know there's a wisdom beyond the material, Five of Pentacles. Whether abundance is always, God is, love is always, right? It's a Sahasrara Chakra day. Look at that, infinite awesomeness every which way. Om, right? So don't get hung up on the differentiations. They exist at a level, and you can get focused on that, attached to, I'm starving, I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm lonely, I can't have kids, whatever. But then just be like, I'm exactly where I need to be. The universe has my back. Every lesson is good. That's the wise place to be. Right? And it's not bypassing. It's accepting and surrendering. You got to come to life and be like, do your worst, and life will answer you. But it's like the worst case scenario, you're going to become wise. Like the harder life is, it's diamonds. You become, the pressure and the heat and the time is going to make you a diamond. So have a pioneering spirit. You're on this journey of a soul becoming embodied to find freedom in materiality. It's crazy, right? Some things are only whole when they shatter. So that's why, in a weird way, fights and relationships happen or war breaks out and stuff. It's to make us appreciate what we had. We become complacent. We become, stuck in a certain way. And it's like, no, you need to remember everything's awesome. And sometimes it takes a shattering of a perspective, a shattering of an era, a shattering of a breaking, like a breaking from the Garden of Eden to make you come back to that wholeness in a new and different way, a more galvanized way, ultimately. Power up your vitals with Bloodstone on this Sunday. So let's go ahead and play a song. And I'm even going to try, if I can remember, to do the rap bit, because there's some lady doing like reggaeton kind of da, 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 da. But I always skip that part because I don't have lyrics. But I pulled up the lyrics this time for that part because it's not included in the tab, because that's just how they didn't make it. All right, so Underneath It All by Gwen Stefani. There's Let's try this. Let's try this. It's hard to read sideways. Let's do this. There's times when I want something more like me. There's times when this dress rehearsal seems incomplete, but you see the colors in me like no one else. And behind your dark glasses, you're something else. You're really lovely underneath it all. You really love me underneath it all. I'm really lucky underneath it all. And you're really lovely. You know some real bad tricks, and you need some discipline. But lately you've been trying hard, giving me your best. And you give me the most gorgeous sleep that I've ever had. And when it's really bad, I guess it's not that bad. Five of Pentacles shit. Super abundance, always there. You're really lovely underneath it all. You want to love me underneath it all. I'm really lucky underneath it all. And really lovely. So many moons we haven't seen. Oh gosh, I can't read this. Let's try this again. There's so many moons that we have seen stumbling back next to me, but I've seen right through and underneath, and you make it better. I've seen right through and underneath, and you make it better, better, better. And then now for the rap part, which I've just squared to. For real, cause underneath it all, you're my real Prince Charming, like the heat from the fire. You are always burning. Anytime you're around, my body keeps calling for your touch, your kisses, and your sweet romances. There's another side of you that this woman will adore. Aside from your temper, everything else is secure. You're good for me, baby, for that I am sure. Cause over and over again, me want more. Oh God. You're it. Oh God, I screwed this up. Hold on. I should probably have thought about this song before I did it. You've used up all your coupons, and all you're left with is me. And somehow I'm full of forgiveness. I guess it's meant to be. It all. You learned to love me underneath it all. And I'm really lucky underneath it all. You're really lovely. Underneath it all. Underneath it all. Underneath it all. Or something. So what we have with the Five of Pentacles underneath it all, everything is awesome, guys. Even when David DeAngelis was talking about the fact that people in third world countries don't have a whole lot, but they're not that bitter about it, right? Underneath it all, they have a heart that is somehow more tuned into the truth, right? Somehow We're supposed to pioneer through the idea of lack to understand and get back to the Garden of Eden. There's a freedom in not knowing. There's a freedom in accepting. There's a freedom in grace and allowance, and not just bitterness and complaint. It's weird because you want, like, striving and evolution occur because of dissatisfaction, but ultimately it's within the totality of abundance, super abundance, if you could say that. Some things are only whole when they shatter. So to become what we are now, we had to shatter. We had to split from source in a very specific way. We're going to reintegrate and come back in a new specific way, and that is going to be the New Jerusalem, or Shambhala, or the Hopi prophecies, or heaven and earth, or Nirvana, or whatever you want to put it, like that. Power up your vitals with bloodstone. You have everything you need. Power them up. Don't just look at the things you don't think you have. She's got her heart beating, and maybe she doesn't need nutrients and stuff, but she doesn't need to be here and be like, well, I don't have cheesecake, and this is just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I want more. It's like, she'll never be satisfied. She could never be satisfied if she doesn't accept and submit to the wholeness of it all. There's true wisdom in that. That's where the real adventure begins. You become a pioneer of consciousness when you kind of go into the freedom of all aspects of it. We had to break to become whole again, folks. Don't fret it. And ultimately power up your vitals, especially with a full moon, lunar eclipse in Gemini later on in the next couple hours. So, holler for readings. I love giving them. Today we have two podcasts, Thomas Sakowitz and somebody else that Raphael wants on, who's starting a website or something. So that should be interesting. And yeah, if you like this, share it, like it, subscribe, holler, comment, say whatever, tip how, if you feel really inclined, that'd be great. But know that even I know, we're always provided for, right? So don't feel obligated, but if you feel called to, chuck some money in the tip jar. That wasn't the best rendition of Gwen Stefani, but whatever. Have a beautiful Sunday and enjoy your full moon lunar eclipse. Bye.